Hello, I'm ready for take 2 of this card. If you missed the first video, I scored wrong, so I had to stop and start again. If you were watching, sorry, but I'm going to just go through my beginning bits again, telling about the card, just because the people who weren't watching don't know what we're doing. So this is this month's Fantastic Fun Fold cards. You've seen me do these videos probably for a few months now. This is a tutorial bundle, comes out every month with a different fold, and we have 12 different samples of the same card. So this is the August card. It is really early this month. If you want to subscribe to the tutorial bundle, I will put the link in the comments. So this card will fold flat. It fits into an envelope so that you can post it, but it displays really nicely. It will stand up like that. Never helps when you show it from the top. And what's quite nice is that the back also looks pretty if you're looking at it from the back. All right, so I'm going to go through the card and assembling the card. I don't give any measurements in these videos. It's purely assembly for the card. If you want goodness, now I can't talk. If you want the measurements, we have metric and imperial measurements in the tutorial bundle. So we're going to start with some scoring, and I'm just going to move that card out of the way for the moment. Okay, sorry. And I didn't mess up on this scoring the first time. I actually messed up on the scoring that I did off my trimmer. But anyway, I used the poinsettia petals to make my sample card in the tutorial Christmassy. This one's going to be very not Christmassy, and I'm going to use the foiling. I hope you've all seen the new foiling system. If you haven't, I'm going to show it to you. I have my machine warming up in the background, so hopefully we're going to time the foiling and the card right that we get everything done. Okay, so now I just need to mark the top. Maybe working on black wasn't my best idea either, but I think my card's going to look lovely. I haven't made it yet, it's still in my head, and sometimes that works really well and sometimes something gets lost in translation. And then we're marking on that first score line and the last score line. Okay, now I'm going to do this properly, and you can use your trimmer if you can score straight on the trimmer. I'm just going to use my Stampin' Pierce mat and a ruler, and we're scoring again between the score lines. Okay, so between the first score line and the last score line, I like the small bit on the diagonal, and again on the diagonal. And then between my marks. Now the ones that were watching before are all screaming at me saying, Tracy, you haven't cut. And no, I think that I was so concerned about getting the scoring right this time. I haven't cut. I'm going to cut once we're done here. And then it doesn't matter whether you cut before or after your scoring. Okay, let me just grab my trimmer. So can you see what we've done? We've sort of scored a square and then all those diagonals in the square. Don't know if that made any sense to anybody except in my head, but hopefully it did. So it's all the diagonals that are scored here, and we're cutting between the first and the last score line. Okay, Now, I don't know whether you heard a little beep beep, but that was my hot foiling machine saying it's ready for the dies to heat up. So let me just put that on, and then we're going to do our scoring. And when I said scoring, I did mean folding. This card's very busy today. Okay, so my vertical score lines, I'm folding as valley folds. And then my diagonal score lines we're going to fold as mountain folds. Now you'll see as we go through that these score lines actually start making the diamonds themselves as you're going. So just fold slowly and carefully and be kind to them. And it does really make a big difference if you've scored in the right places. And now you'll see that in theory, okay, that one was scored pretty badly because it isn't crossing, but I'm going to fix that. I'm going to make it so you do have a little bit of wiggle room when you're folding them, that you can just check that they are actually lining up. And you know how everything works until you're on camera, and once you've stuffed up once, you're completely flustered, so then nothing wants to sit where it's supposed to be. Okay, so there we go, my diamonds are going good there. And then this one was the one that was slightly off, so let's just see if I can make it meet up. Come on, diamond, be nice to me. There we go. So you can see you just need to be gentle with them, and they will actually fold into place. And there's our card. Okay, now let me just grab my hot foiling because it beeped at me to tell me that it was ready. Oops. Just did something really bad. I dropped the die off, but that's okay. We're going to just, it should still be hot enough. Hopefully it was, oops, 5-second rule. This is magnetic in case you're wondering why it's bouncing around, and it is to take it off. That's upside down, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to put my hot foil, my foil sheet with the colored side down over my dies, and then I'm putting my piece of paper on top. We get 2 plates with this, so I'm taking the 2 plates and putting them over. And this is the reason why I hate die cutting on camera, because I don't have enough space for everything, but I just want to show you this. So we're now going to just roll this through slowly. Okay, so when you're die cutting, you can go as fast as you like. With the foiling, you want to roll it through slowly, and be careful because this is hot. Okay, so I can lift that off. I can pick up my die with my magnetic bit and put it down to cool. Let's just move that out the way. And now for the big reveal. This just comes off, and look at my beautiful butterflies. Alright, now let me show you This set comes with dies that cut as well as the foiling dies. So my foil die is out there and my butterflies just fell off, but it's got all these dies. So you could cut out a body to go over your foiling, but it also comes with masks. Okay, so that makes this extra special. So let's color in my butterflies. And by color in, I mean with the masks. Now, here's my big reveal. I'm going to use pumpkin pie in black. And if you're thinking Halloween, I assure you this is nothing like Halloween. My cards is not going to look like Halloween. So I'm going to start with the first mask. And this is the one that needs attention, where we need to position it really nicely. Just make sure that everything's lined up and colored in, you know. Okay, that looks like that's good for me. And then what I'm going to do is, the masks have this little V in them, so color that because that's going to help me position my next one. And this one does have a 1 on it, so that I know that that's the first one. As long as it doesn't move while I'm busy blending, that also makes a difference. Okay. Now this was me being really daring because I haven't actually blended with black ink before, but I decided to try it because I was thinking orange and black butterflies, and it actually works. So if I line up my V and then just check that that's sitting correctly over the butterflies. And then we're going to, I have to say that blending black is a bit of a strange thing to be doing, but you'll see it actually does work. I want this big butterfly's black a bit darker. See? And then we're going to take our third one, and you could go with a different color. I'm going back with pumpkin pie, but I'm just going to go quite dark this time with the pumpkin pie. So the only thing with it being black this time is that you can see here the pumpkin pie is going over the black, so it does come up looking like sort of a different color on the black, but it's not showing up as very pumpkin pie, but that's okay. So there we go. What do we think of pumpkin pie and black butterflies? And is everybody going to try black blending now? I just want to move my ink pads out the way. And then you're going to die cut those butterflies, and we have them all loose. So you could either use that on a card as is, or cut those butterflies loose. And now we can get on to assembling our card. So let's just talk about this card for a minute. You can use designer series paper here. So either use one pattern there and a different pattern on your squares. I used all the same paper on this one. For our card today, I'm not using designer series paper. I have a new favorite embossing folder, which I just need to check what it's called because I've forgotten the name. Can you see that? It's coming out in the new catalog, so it'll be available from September. Yeah, sorry, I know. I always have to use new stuff and show it to you really early. But we're just going to stick those onto those side panels. I had to do a lot of sticking before I came on. Oops. I'm not quite sure how we're decorating this, but we're going to come up with something. I know that we're having butterflies, we all know that much. Okay. And then my little squares go onto these panels. So if you're using designer series paper, just make sure that whatever you're using on these little squares isn't directional, because you're turning it at a diamond. So, you know, if you've got a tree or a flower or an animal, you probably don't want it sitting sideways. And then before I stick my big one on, I've cut out some gold leaves from those dies as well. I think we're just going to use one of those. I wasn't sure what I was going to use, but that's decided. Easy. Okay. So I'm going to stick and you just have to be kind with Tombow, because it takes a little bit longer to stick onto embossed pieces. And we're going to use that same leaf on the bottom. And then we're sticking this piece on top. Okay, so you only need to put glue on those two corners. And then I'm just going to fold this flat so that I can kind of judge if my points are in a line. Yep, I'd say something like that is good. Let's just give that glue time to dry. And then, yeah, I'm going to put my big butterfly in the middle. I wasn't sure if I was going to use the big one or if it was going to be too big, but no, I think that the big one is good. And then I did die cut some of these little butterflies, and just to show you, you have the butterfly and the bodies, so you can use them without, or just put a tiny little bit of glue behind the body over there and stick that onto your butterfly. And if you wanted, you could put that through an embossing folder or stamp some texture dots or blobs or anything onto those butterfly wings. So these are two slightly different sizes. You've got a bigger one and a slightly smaller one. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to just stick a little butterfly onto each of my little squares. I think I'm a little bit butterfly obsessed, but that's okay. And I'll go with a slightly smaller one, except, okay, let's just use the smaller butterflies for the front. Nope, that one's too big, I think. And then I've got 2 writing panels at the back, so I'm going to put one of these butterflies on the bottom of one, and I just don't want it hanging too much over the edge. And then on the bottom of the other one, I'm going to put, let's go like that, my other gold leaves. And we're going to have some little butterflies flying amongst the leaves on the bottom here. These butterflies want to stay on my fingers. They don't want to stay on the card. All right, I'll keep that one. I'll use it for something else because I do think that it's really, really pretty. But then these pieces can just stick on the back. And there's the front of our card. Love those butterflies. And we've got our writing panels on the back. All right. So thank you for bearing with me with my oopsies today. I did actually go when I was pre-preparing and score a second card so that if I messed up again, I actually had that. I thought I should have done that this morning, but then I thought, no, I'll be fine. But always expect the unexpected. So there we go. I hope you like these cards and enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you again next week. Until then, bye for now.